2013 scary survival horror video game The Last of Us has audiences hooked and eager for what comes next, 9 years after it was first revealed that there would be a movie adaptation. The highly anticipated HBO series The Last of Us, from creators, executive producers Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, who also wrote the video game with the same name, explores what life is like after a viral outbreak has obliterated contemporary civilization. The world can be a cruel and ugly place if you don't have anyone to ensure your survival, and it can be heartbreaking if you can't keep your family and loved ones safe while still trying to find some semblance of hope. This is true regardless of whom you were before or where you came from. The Last of Us's HBO premiere drew 4.7 million viewers, ranking it as the second highest premiere in the network's history. Within the first 2 days of being on the platform, it received over 10 million views just in the US. Additionally, it has received fan support as it currently has a score of 9.3 on IMDb and a Rotten Tomatoes approval rating of 99%. Even after the eye-opening events of the live-action TV adaptation of the video game, there is still much to learn about the state of the world and the protagonists of the show, including how the deadly contagion spread and why Ellie is so unique. The dangers that await the characters in the outside world will soon become clear to viewers, as zombie-like humanoids are waiting for Joel, Tess, and Ellie in the shadows of the deserted city. While the show will mostly follow the plot of the first game, elements from The Last of Us Part 2, which takes place 5 years after the first game, are expected to be included. However, it appears more likely that they'll borrow ideas from The Last of Us Left Behind, an Ellie-focused prequel that takes place before the events of the original game. But the series is also anticipated to develop the game's narrative, reportedly including some elements that were previously excluded from the game. The Last of Us will probably have at least one more season, even though a series renewal hasn't been announced yet. This is because creators Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin have made hints about the show's potential future. The Last of Us TV show shouldn't have many seasons, according to both Mazin and Druckmann. Nevertheless, they stated that they could see themselves producing future seasons that focus on the second game's events. In an interview, Druckmann stated that their strategy for upcoming seasons would be to have as many episodes as necessary without going overboard. Mazin stated in the same interview that adapting the second game would take more than one season. The Last of Us fans may therefore have many more seasons to look forward to. The Last of Us won't have 6 or 7 seasons, according to Mazin, so those hoping it will go on as long as Game of Thrones might want to lower their expectations. But anything is possible because there's so much source material to adapt from the video game plot in The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2, with a Part 3 possibly on the way. Season 1 isn't quite finished yet, with a few episodes left to air. As of right now, HBO has not made a formal announcement regarding the possibility of a second season for The Last of Us. Before announcing a renewal, HBO will probably wait to see how the show is received. The show's creators, Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, appear to have begun making plans for a potential second season, though. The first season's episode count consists of 9 extremely expensive episodes. This indicates that the finale will air in March 2023. Season 1's casting took place in 2020, and production reportedly wrapped up in June 2022, after nearly a year of filming that began in July 2021. So it seems unlikely that a second season would be released before the end of 2024. Before we go any further, we wanted to let you know that it's time for you to smash that like button if you haven't done it already. Oh, goodness. 7 more episodes of Season 1 have yet to air, but Episode 2 has already aired, so we already know a few of the characters that will appear in The Last of Us. Joel and Ellie are extremely well-liked and well-written characters. In both video games, they were portrayed by Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, but neither actor will play them in the TV series. Instead, we have Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones playing Ellie and Joel, respectively. Given that Ramsey's breakthrough performance as Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones stole the show, she seems to be the ideal choice. She was able to embody Ellie with a combination of fire and vulnerability, and we can expect to see her continue to do so. We know Pascal can pull off the reluctant dad role because he spent a lot of time in The Mandalorian guiding a young companion across the galaxy. Additionally, We know that Joel's brother Tommy will be portrayed by Gabrielle Luna from Terminator Dark Fate, and Tess will be portrayed by Anna Torv. The role of Sarah, Joel's daughter, is played by Nico Parker. Nick Offerman plays jaded survivor Bill, and Murray Bartlett appears as his partner Frank, whom we never meet during the game's events. Moreover, it was revealed that Storm Reed would portray Riley, Ellie's best friend, suggesting that the show would also likely touch on the events of Left Behind. Some of the video game actors have also succeeded in transitioning to The Last of Us on HBO. Jeffrey Pierce, who's known as Tommy in the games, will play a rebel in a quarantine zone. In the meantime, Merle Dandridge is reprising her performance as Marlene, aka the Firefly's leader. Kathleen, played by Melanie Linsky, is one of the new characters that the HBO adaptation will introduce. Kathleen is a ruthless leader of a rebel movement in Kansas City. Abby, portrayed by Laura Bailey in The Last of Us Part 2, is a new character that is introduced in the game, so it is possible that Laura could reprise her role in the TV series, or a new actor could be cast for the role. According to Mazin and Druckmann, The Last of Us Season 2 will probably stick to the plot of the video game The Last of Us Part 2. Mazin, a self-professed fan of both games, admitted that he has no desire to keep the show going just because the studio can. Druckmann agrees with Mazin that many television shows go on far past their expiration date, and claims that he has no plans for a story that goes beyond the scope of the game series. If The Last of Us Season 2 followed the heartbreaking plot of The Last of Us Part 2, it would transport viewers on a dramatic thrill ride as the main characters fell into darkness. Without going into too much detail about The Last of Us Part 2 spoilers, the upcoming season of the HBO adaptation will probably concentrate on the consequences of Joel and Ellie's actions in Season 1, with a previously thought dead and buried past arriving at their door. However, retelling The Last of Us Part 2 will be controversial among fans, as the game's reception was decidedly mixed due to its daring storytelling pattern. Much of the game's antagonist was controlled by the player, which greatly irritated some of the fan bases and led to targeted harassment of Druckmann and the actors. The original video game creator Druckmann hinted at a third Last of Us installment being in development, saying that he thinks, quote, "there's more story to tell." If successful, a third game would enable Mazin and HBO to continue the show for the third season. And because of this, you need to smash that subscribe button and notification bell so you'll never miss any of our videos in the future. Oh boy. The Last of Us is the greatest video game adaptation of all time, and an excellent TV drama in its own way. Do yourself a favor and get involved right away if you're having doubts about watching it. We guarantee that within a short period of time, you'll become infected with a desire to watch the next episode. See you in the next video!